Environment Central Public Committee meeting. The very first thing I'm going to do, actually, before we start the public participation or anything, the chair and the vice chair are both unavailable this evening. So the first thing we need to do is actually vote in a chair. So at the moment I'm sitting here. Would anyone like to nominate me as chair this evening?
I would.
May I have a second for that? If you're all in favour. Right, we'll continue. Thank you. Right. So forgive me, I wasn't prepared for this role this evening. So this was thrown on me an hour ago. Starting off then, public participation. Any members of the public here would like to say anything? Good evening.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm sitting here because if you sit in those seats, you can't hear what.
You're welcome.
Yes, I would like to ask what progress has been made on the barbecue. Oh, well, you talking about it last meeting, and I think it was you, enthusiastic about it, but I haven't seen anything. I've read the leaflet and everything, but I didn't see anything. Excuse me if I missed it.
Thank you. Please take a seat. So
Can I shut the door?
I think Councillor Whittaker's coming back in. I'm sure he'll close it on the way in. So the update, as you know, I don't know how many years we've been talking about St Margaret's Loop. I don't know. I mean, I've certainly been talking about it for 6 years now, and I'm sure it's been going on longer than that. Every time I think we're getting a little closer. We go a little bit forward, a little bit back. We are now at the very last, we hope, survey has been undertaken. We're expecting the report on the 14th, so in 10 days' time, less than 10 days' time, and then we'll see where we come from the report. And we're hoping to have something significant to report back to the A&T committee. But again, it's going to go back to West Sussex, so we're still not there. We're still not there, but it is very much on Sam, our new town clerk. It's very much on her doorstep at all times. So we're pushing and pushing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, and now we'll move on to the main agenda. I'll start off with apologies for absences. Councillor Odie has a personal commitment and Councillor Belsey has a work commitment, I believe. I vote that we accept those apologies. Can I have a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Councillor Pond. We move to accept. Thank you. Thank you for putting me in the seat tonight. So item 2 is to receive members' declarations of interest. Are there any new declarations around the table? No, thank you. I would just like to say at this moment as well, we're welcoming Councillor Whittaker tonight because he's an item on the agenda tonight, and obviously Graham Russell from East Grinstead Business Association as well this evening. Item 3, to approve for accuracy the minutes of the meeting held on the 28th of November and on the 9th of January 2025. I would like to propose we accept those minutes. Please may I have a second? Thank you. Would you like to sign them now? Can we vote to accept those? Thank you. Full signature on the first page. Just sign that on the house. Talk about yourself. Look at the pages. No, they're the additional pages.
Oh, got you. Okay.
The date today, that's a good start. I don't even know the date. All right. Chairman's updates. I don't have actually very much to update you on, to be honest, this evening. And the first item is bike bus. So we're waiting contract from the business manager at the Mary's School in East Grinstead in respect to arranging a meeting in spring to introduce the scheme to St Mary's Primary School. It's been chased, but no response to date. They don't see schemes aren't really moving forward, which is mainly due to lack of volunteers. Lack of volunteers in general that are delaying anything moving forward, which is a genuine problem across all sectors, not just trying to get bikes and things in schools and in schools in general. It's quite difficult. So that continues to go ahead, and see what happens with that. It's always going to be easier in fair weather, trying to get things sorted and get meetings going, so we'll see where, Councillor Odie goes with that moving forward. The other thing, there was supposed to be a meeting held yesterday, for West Sussex County Council Sustainable Travel, with Sherry Gunnell, is that how you pronounce it? She's the new contact since Ian Mayhill's leaving. Unfortunately, this meeting didn't take place because she was unwell. So the update is, there is no update. All right. So that's it for Chairman's update. Moving on to item 5, which is the walking and cycling leaflets. So we're looking to an update from the working party to consider the next steps, designs and costings. Additional costings provided, which you have got on the additional page that came out there on the table. So if we go through those, so we the committee needs to decide the options they wish to proceed with to produce the leaflet, agree a budget, and the type of content they want to include, which could be delegated to the working party for further discussion and agreement. So we're looking at option A, to produce in-house, or option B, to engage Sustrans to produce the leaflet. So option A is to produce it in-house. So it's A4 folded to DL or A3 folded to DL. Quite a big difference in paper size, isn't it, in the production? But not actually much difference in cost, actually,
No.
which is quite surprising for the cost of the paper. Or to produce leaflets using Sustrans, including 1,000 printed copies. They are looking at A4 folded to DL, total of 3,945, or A3 to DL, which is 4,175, both of which are cheaper than in-house copies at present. Option 2, again with the Sustrans, is to East Grinstead will use the mapping data to create 2 draft leisure walking routes and 2 draft leisure cycling routes within East Grinstead. The Sustrans project officer will then carry out site visits to use the data to assess the walking, wheeling and cycling routes highlighted. So that would be for the A4 folded would be 3625 and the A3 folded would be 3855. Please note additional quotes were obtained for printing, which have been updated from the previous information provided. All costs are plus VAT, but we don't need to worry about the VAT cost, we're dealing in net. So option 1, I didn't read what that was from Sustrans. The project team will use desktop research and cross-referencing against Sustrans NCN map and OpenStreetMap data to draw up a picture of the wider walking, wheeling and cycling network within the area. They will use this mapping information alongside site visits to create 2 leisure walking routes and 2 leisure cycling routes within East Grinstead. That's going to have, they're doing more detailed background work rather than actually what they're actually going to be providing. There's still both options of those will have 2 cycling and 2 walking leisure routes. Sorry, that's a gift. I actually just pop my water down.
This one.
Yeah, I left it in front of you. I didn't see the lipstick on it.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, thank you. My recommendation, so we can then have a discussion on it. And my recommendation would be to go with Sustrans. Is there anything particular that was from the officers that felt which was the better option?
Well, obviously the cheaper option involves us creating the draft cycling and walking routes.
For £300, less than £300, 280 quid.
Yeah,
So
so
I would say option 1 with Sustrans would be the preferred option. If I can propose that, may I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Gibb. So, open to the floor. Comments, please. Thank you, Councillor.
Sorry, and apologies, I might be slow this evening. Just trying to understand with the Sustrans on option 1 and 2, what is the involvement of East Grinstead? I think it was just mentioned in either option. The project team will use, and East Grimsby will use is the project team Sustrans in that
Yes,
instance?
in option one, it's
Sustrans, and in option two, it's East Grimsby.
officers.
Just trying to
Yes.
confirm that. Thank you very much.
I think really, the in-house one is out just on the cost.
Good.
And actually we're getting a better, professional. Yeah.
If
so-
I can, just a follow-up, Chair, thank you. Just trying to understand, if we were to do it in-house, is that because the printing costs? I'm just trying to understand what the cost split
I
is
think the
between.
mapping costs are quite expensive.
Right,
So yeah, it was, looking at some other quotes that, I think are in the report, just for the mapping, it is quite expensive, that side of things. And obviously doing it with one resource that have got access to everything is probably a cheaper and probably more professional perhaps outcome of the leaflet, I would maybe think as well. So yeah, I think that's probably the mapping costs are quite expensive.
I understand.
With the research on that.
Thank you. And I understand our staff are professionals in their job, but maybe not professional at producing leaflets. Just for clarity, obviously, is this additional overtime, or would the cost of the staff's time that would be taken out of the ability for them to perform other duties? So it's not an additional cost to the council, but it would be time taken away to be used. I'm getting a nod from.
Yeah.
So understood. So it's not so although the actual cost of the town council in physical money may be lower in option one, that is the equivalent cost in time that staff will not be able to spend on other things.
It'd probably be more than the difference between them.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yes.
Option one, option two, do we have any time frame or how long
I
it
think
takes?
in the report, I don't have here,
The original
the original report, that, I sent out with the papers, there was a timescale at the back, and I think it was a 6 month time
Was that-
line.
Was that for both options or just option?
I mean, I don't know what it would take to do the first one, but it would probably be a similar, in respect to other things that other officers, obviously other duties that officers have.
I would imagine option one would be a quicker deliverable, just because we get distracted by all sorts of things, so
The option two would be
Yeah.
to deliver
it
rather
would
than
probably
option
be
one.
slower, yeah, to deliver option two, potentially.
You mean for officers to do it?
Officers doing option one, so that's the longer one.
If we have to do the work, because this is not something that's part of our day-to-day job now, I don't know how long it would take us to
Yeah,
find
yes.
enough dedicated time to
Yeah.
complete the research required to identify the routes, especially because this is not something that we do.
Let's be clear, option B, option two would be
Okay.
slower than option B, option one, but
Yes.
all of option B would be quicker than option A.
Yes.
And that is keeping me awake at night. But yeah,
Fantastic. Well,
hopefully everybody else got that.
yes.
Okay.
Would we be involved with the site visit with such
Yeah, I
trans?
think we would be involved.
I think that would be nice.
Yeah, and also giving them sort of input into the document.
Local history, etc.
Yeah,
Could be involved.
yeah.
Thank
definitely.
you.
Yeah, we would have to give them information on that, sure.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to say on that?
I mean, for me, the expertise of such strands is the cut above the other option anyway, but with the opportunity cost of trying to do it all in-house as well, I think it's probably a no-brainer for
Okay.
the cost difference.
Exactly.
Right, so my proposal was on the table to move forward with option. It's right, because we're gonna have it in the minutes. So we go with option B, option two, which is Sustrans to,
No.
so option B, option one.
Yeah.
Do all the work, Sustrans to do all the work.
Right.
I've had a second, so can we move forward to the vote, please? I confused myself then, thank you, me. All right,
Oh,
right.
Sorry.
More than-
I would
So it's all
propose A3, because we've got much more,
It's all folded to the
the
same
maps
side.
to be bigger.
So-
clearer.
That's DL, that's DL.
Yeah, so I think like a leaflet size, but you're adding it out into
That's
an
the-
A3. Keep the pressure.
So do we want to open out to that side? Or do we want to open out to?
That's
Sorry.
fair, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to give you a much better.
So I would say my preferred option would be an A3.
I'll second that, Chair.
Any questions? Move forward to vote on that then. A3. Oh, testing the skills.
Want to know what colour?
What's waste of paper, etc. Okay, thank you. All right, so item 6 is shared services working group. That's why we welcome Councillor Whitaker and Graham Russell. To receive an update report from the working group and to consider requests for funding in respect of traffic consultancy work for the projects. There is an update on the table. Have you all seen the update that's gone round? There's an update piece of paper noted. Have you picked one up?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Right, additional information provided at the meeting in respect of meeting with Mid Sussex District Council officers, and a meeting is scheduled for the 26th of March to include East Grinstead Business Association and town councillors. My recommendation is, prior to the decision being made regarding the request for £10,000 allocation, to engage a specialist consultant to investigate the requirements for shared services, and before any formal public engagement or consultation is commissioned, the meeting be held with the representatives of the town council, including the community and tourism team, East Grinstead Business Association and Mid Sussex District Council officers, so that all parties are involved and can look to work together to identify future potential town improvements. Right. So the update that you've had on the table this evening is because it came so late after following on from the meeting yesterday. So first of all, would Councillor Whitaker like to give an update and jump in whenever?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for letting us sit at your committee. First time I've attended.
You're welcome.
And Graham and I, we're a bit of a double act tonight. We work together on the EGBA anyway. So this update is in 3 parts. I've done an initial report, which are in the papers. Graham's done a separate, slightly different tack report, but on the same subject. And obviously you've tabled tonight through the clerk, the deputy clerk. Thank you. An update report, which we've seen briefly and been through it. So it's in 3 parts really. So if I start, my report really is just the background. Obviously it was constituted, this working group was constituted back last year through the F&GP committee. 6 people on it, 4 councillors and 2 external, Graham being 1. So the beauty that we felt on the working group was to have independent external people, non-councillors, in addition to 2 people concerned, namely Graham and also Charlie Martell, extensive business experience, independent, wide-ranging experience. So, you know, bring a lot of experience and expertise on the subject to the table. Additionally, the 4 councillors involved, obviously got Councillor Gibson, who's a triple hatter, which is a great advantage. Councillor Odie, obviously, mayor and deputy mayor. So it's a small group that we wanted to keep small and sort of active, but a good range of people on it. Graham works, obviously, you know, he's chair of his business association anyway, so there's a natural key into all the elements that we've got here tonight. First met in September last year, really just to kick around ideas. We found out that a heck of a lot of work had been done 25 and 30 years ago. And more, going back to 1985. And we've got all the documentation here, which was actually kept by the Martell family and Charlie through his father. We had it. So that was interesting, and it got to quite an advanced stage with West Sussex County Council with 4 or 5 different high street proposals for physical changes, and it went out to a public consultation then. It fell on stony ground then, didn't happen for various reasons. We investigated why that didn't happen. I spoke with the previous town clerk, Chris Rollick, who was involved at the time, and various other people. But it failed because of I think it was too ambitious, and there was a lack of consultation. The two main concerns. So lots of ideas were kicked around at the initial meeting. It was really just an ideas meeting, but quickly it became obvious what certain ideas might have legs and what for various reasons. At all times, we realise the group, it's a pragmatic group. We realise that this project isn't going to go anywhere, even though it's an East Grinstead Town Council delivery vehicle. That's the way we're doing it. So it's Town Council. It's all about getting the buy-in of Mid Sussex District Council, but particularly West Sussex County Council, being principally highways related matters and funding, etc., etc. So all the way through, and Graham will come onto this in more detail. We've liaised closely with our county councillors, obviously Councillor Gibson, of which we have 3 county councillors. Councillor Gibson's on the working group, so that's perfect. So we wanted him on the group. Councillor Russell, who's cabinet member at West Sussex, and also Councillor DeBell, who's relatively new on the council. All 3 have been closely involved in the group and been consulted principally by Greg rather than myself. So my report is fairly self-evident. The summary, part is really we're coming up to where do we take this, how do we take this, and how quickly can we take it? And we've realised that we do need to go out to public consultation. We do need some funding because we need to get a consultant on board to really drive it and to learn the lessons from the past and to really drive it forward. It's exciting. Something really needs to be done. Everybody knows that, particularly London Road. We're focusing on that. It's obviously subject to all funding, of which we haven't got any funding yet. But there's a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of will, not just within the working group, but sort of outside that we know. So I think that's enough for me. So on to Graham. Thank you, Graham, for coming. And Graham can elaborate because he's the chair of the working group. He was elected unanimously chair of the working group, and he's done pretty much all the work on this so far.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me tonight. So I've been on the committee of the East Grinstead Business Association for 3 years, and 2 years of that as the chair. And I felt one of the first things I should do is run a number of focus groups of our members to see what they wanted from the EGBA. It was a small part of it, but the bigger part of it, what they wanted to see in the town. And as we know, the town centre, the High Street, London Road is the heart of East Grinstead. And it was important that we found out what the local businesses wanted from the town. So we ran a number of focus groups. Very well attended. So we have a number of networking events during the year. But this attracted a whole new set of our members who don't normally come to the networking events. So they got very engaged. And I think if you look back, and we have documents, I think 1982 is the earliest documents we have. I think the problem and mistake that's happened in the past is it's been an all or nothing pedestrianisation argument. And that, unfortunately, I think caused a lot of the problems. Whereas I think what I wanted to do through those focus groups and get the feedback of businesses is to find out, what they felt could work. And we then engaged with so basically we set about working towards a business blueprint for what do we want for the town? What do we want in terms of its restaurants? What do we want in terms of events? What do we want? And obviously tying in with tourism model. So having gone through that process, we started to think, well, there's such a strong feeling that we need to do something. I think the overriding feeling I got was we need to do something. So let's just start a consultation. Let's start talking about it, see what's possible. We then engaged with the Mid Sussex Economic Development, Mid Sussex District Council Economic Development Group, having set up the shared services group, working group. We did a town walkabout just before Christmas, which was all quite revealing. It was so they learned a lot about the town. They gave us some thought that we hadn't even thought about. Well, we stood in front of the station, for example, and they said, interesting that all you can see is heavy traffic. You can't even see the route into the town. the signage is not great for the roofing, that's. So, and then we walk all the way through looking at all the retail units and the various office units and so on. So that's why we got in, and you see from the document, we got into the discussion about wayfinding. So clearly that's a contribution that Mid Sussex District Council can make, because we've seemed to have added a lot of signs, but it isn't particularly coordinated. It's just a bit of hodgepodge. So that was one part of it. Then we talked about the flow of traffic through the town. So what we're looking at the moment is the feasibility of one-way traffic through the town, so that we can create more pedestrian space, but we're not just pedestrianising the whole thing. So we're testing the hypothesis at the moment. There's more space for events and stores and pop-ups, and we just need to get the footfall going again, because hospitality is suffering, retail suffering everywhere in the country, but we think we can buck the trend if we do something quite innovative. And that's when we started to talk to Mid Sussex. We talked to the guys from the councillors from West Sussex, and we spoke to some consultants as well, who started to give us some ideas. And one of the things I found quite positive about that was the fact that you can actually try it for 12 months, 18 months, with sort of quite attractive short-term measures to, you know, for example, for single lane traffic, one-way traffic going through the town, you don't have to, it's not all or nothing, and then you go, oh, well, that didn't work, did it? Because we have one retailer who said for about 8 weeks, the traffic through the high street was one way because of gasworks. And they said, wow, that worked really, really well. But it wasn't a trial, it just happened to work really, really well. So I could talk for a long time on this. I won't take too much more time, but there's a real enthusiasm for doing something and to thinking this through, going into a period of consultation. We're going to need around about £10,000 for consultants to draw up some pictures and some maps and sort of traffic flows and all that sort of thing. We've already talked to a couple of those sort of guys, and then that leads into the possibility of then us becoming a bid, a business improvement district. And we've got, at the moment, if we go that far, we've got £75,000 earmarked by Mid Sussex District Council to take us through that process. And the next stage for us is to meet with them again, as Helen said. And we'll come together at the end of March, and Sam will be there, and we'll take the discussion to another level. And I understand that is the point at which the decision would be made after that meeting as to whether or not that initial funding will become available to us. I think it's really exciting. I mean, I think there's a great opportunity here. I think you've only got to go to events like the big reveal to realise people want this stuff. I'll show you my vision. I think jazz on the high street every Thursday night in the summer. Wow! Everyone says we're going out to town tonight on a Thursday. I think it'll be really, really good. And we already do some good events, but there's so much more scope for lots more of these events. But we've got to create more pedestrian space, a bit more cycling space as well. But we think it will be a mistake to eliminate traffic out of town completely. And there's safety issues and all sorts that go along with that these days that we really have got to consider. So yeah, going headlong down the pedestrianisation route, I think, is one of the reasons it never really took off. So,
okay. I would say that Graham has done extensive already, has off his own back, really sort of outside the working groups meetings, extensive discussions and consultations, with the three county councillors, particularly the two that aren't on the group. Lots of continual dialogue with Mid Sussex District Council. You do anyway with your EGBA. It's just an extension sort of a specific project, and we've also had, particularly from Councillor Russell, very detailed technical feedback on funding criteria, what we need to do to put together proposals, for a formal public bid, initial feasibility, business case. She's given us some excellent advice, really good, solid. So she's very much on board. you know, and in the current position, you know, we're at a stage now where we, you know, if we were a car, we need to change gear or even two gears to really drive it forward.
Thank you, and thank you all for the amount of work you've done, and thank you for coming to present to us tonight, Brian. And it is positive, the work and the teamwork and the 3 tiers working together. So, my job really this evening is just to do read through. It's literally landed on our
Send
our
us in.
now. Basically, so I'm going to read it to the room, if that's okay, because I haven't been able to sit and read it through properly, because I've come from meeting to meeting to meeting today, and it literally came through at 5 o'clock. So it would be fair, I think, if I read it through for everybody, because I'm sure you haven't sat here and read it either. So I don't even remember this, and I was in the town, and I don't remember this around speaking.
I think, was that 1985, 1983? I think.
99, that one.
No, that's 99, that was
Yeah.
80.
So that was 82. So that was the formal consultation. It went to all our H19 houses. But included within that,
I think that was little baby at that time.
included in that proposal was, you can't believe it now, but back in the day, part of that plan was to compulsorily purchase some land at the end of Portland Road, some private land that's currently now got a tennis court as part of the tennis club, and nobody knew about it. It was just announced in that document. So
it didn't happen.
So it didn't happen because everybody went, "Oh my God, you can't possibly do it." Right. So we think we've learned lessons from that.
Yeah, that's the big fish.
But you can see the advanced nature of that document. You know, a lot of work was done.
Working it. I haven't looked at it properly. So obviously I'm sat here. I will have a look at the end. So I'm just going to read through the notes that come out of everybody, so that we can then have a discussion around the table. So, following information circulated by Councillor Gibson in respect of the Business Improvement District, the BID, and the place making wayfinding work, a meeting was arranged with Mid Sussex District Council officers, Caroline Duffy and Laura Southam, to get an understanding of these schemes and to consider any potential funding available to the Town Council. The clerk and the deputy clerk were in attendance at this meeting. The following was noted. Hayward Heath Town Council is currently awaiting the outcome of a bid feasibility study, which will be available in April 2025. Mid Sussex District Council have funding to complete a bid feasibility study for East Grinstead Town Council. The initial Hayward Heath study would provide an initial indication of support from local businesses on what level the levy might be set at, which would indicate the funding that would then become available to them. This funding can be used for any town improvements or promotions, except for statutory responsibilities such as highways work, etc. The Hayward Heath feasibility study would also help inform a potential study for East Grinstead. During an East Grinstead walkabout with Mid Sussex District Council and East Grinstead Business Association in December 2024, the desire to implement shared services was raised by East Grinstead Business Association. I can't quite say Eggebar, it doesn't sound right. As a desired outcome to help improve the town centre. Whilst there is funding to engage a consultant to investigate placemaking and wayfinding improvements to East Grinstead, this would not cover the cost for a consultant to undertake a specific initiative, such as completing a specification for shared spaces. It would be useful to understand what the core strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats are for East Grinstead, and from this to identify potential solutions for implementation within the town. A town-wide consultation should be considered before proceeding with any large projects or initiatives, depending on the scope and scale of the recommendations. Following this meeting, the officer's recommendations are prior to a decision being made regarding the request for £10,000 allegation to engage a specialist consultation to investigate the requirements for shared services, and before any formal public engagement or consultation is commissioned, a meeting be held with representatives from the Town Council, including the Community and Tourism team, Eggebar and Mid Sussex District Council officers, so that all parties are involved and can look to work together to identify future potential improvements. The benefit of taking an overall holistic approach, which is fully inclusive rather than focusing on just the elements of roads and highways, means that funding could be sourced from the placemaking and wayfinding budget available to Mid Sussex District Council, which is approximately £20,000 to £30,000. This could be used to fund a consultant to look at overall town requirements and potential improvements on a wider scale, identify some quick wins as well as longer term projects. Furthermore, we can identify projects to improve the public realm. It should be possible to use S106 funds previously allocated to Queen's Road Cemetery enhancements as per SPD section 3.1 below. So the small wins would be local CCTV schemes, along with that's telling you what the 106 money can be used for. So I'm not going to go to all of those, but it does include CCTV for around town, public conveniences, enhancement of the public realm, footway lighting, local signages, cycle tracks, public right of way, routes for pedestrians and cyclists and equestrians, well, public pedestrians and cyclists are really what we're looking for on that particular one. Traffic calming, again, that fits into this realm perfectly, as does public seating, arts and cultural facilities. That's not in this particular scheme that we're looking at, but several of those we are ticking. So I just wanted to read that out to see whether we actually say, let's go with this 10,000 now, or do we look at what we do with Mid Sussex District Council and use their money and see what we can do now, and then move forward with a bigger amount of money for a consultation at a later date. Please correct me, Town Clerk, if I've got that muddled. I don't believe I have. But
No, I
please
think that's right, yeah, so.
add any clarifications to the table.
Yeah, so basically, it's not that we're saying no to a one-way scheme or shared services. It's just about perhaps taking it back up a level and using the placemaking and wayfinding, have I got that right, Rhiannon?
Yes.
Funding available from Mid Sussex to commission the consultant to take that bigger view of the town centre and to kind of do that review and walk through and round, and then to make their recommendations that we could then find a way forwards to improve the town. It could be that their recommendations align with yours. I've got no idea. But they should also find other things that we could do as quick wins potentially, that we could use S106 money and Mid Sussex money to implement around the town. So it's about maybe changing the descriptor of what we're asking for to utilise funding that's available from outside of our budget, which we actually, and so that we can make our money go further ultimately.
So, questions?
As I say, isn't the Mid Sussex money more about the wayfinding?
It is, but it's also about placemaking, and it's about what place do we want East Grinstead to be, and so that's the key. I think that we're looking to kind of come into. It's because it's bigger than just. It's not just about what you've got is a kind of a potential solution, isn't it? Like one-way system. Then we can enhance the pedestrianisation spaces and the temporary use of the area in the town. But if we turn it around and look at it from the other direction, what are we trying to achieve? We're trying to achieve greater pedestrian spaces. We're trying to achieve a different use of the space we've got in the town centre. We want to bring more people in. We want to make it a more I can't think of my word, community space, used space, a multi-use space rather than people just walking through the town. If we put that as our objective, for example, and bring a consultant in to look at that from a placemaking perspective, well, what solutions may they offer? It could be a one-way system is one of them. So it's not that we're saying no, and I don't want you to think that at all. It's just that what we're trying to do is find a way of using the resources that are available to us and just looking at it from a maybe slightly different angle, that's all.
Making our money going further.
I'll just
Yeah.
coming on that, Graham arranged a meeting with a consultant, you probably got a WSP consultancy, who are a big multidisciplinary, very good consultancy.
Mhm.
They are a partner consultancy to West Sussex County Council.
Okay.
Do a lot, so we met with Chickamee for a couple of hours. Basically, we picked their brains for 2 hours.
Yeah.
and they gave us some good sort of case studies on where they have worked on other projects for other towns, for other councils, but also in Sussex.
Mhm.
So it was very illuminating. We've got lots of notes from that.
Brilliant.
We're not saying definitely using them, but
Yeah.
they are certainly a very, very good contact that have got the ear of the county council and that are very experienced.
Mhm.
And it would be a consultant like that
Mhm.
that we would use to frame these ideas into CGIs, into an options and issues document, summary document, similar to the document I just come around, which will form the basis of the first public consultation,
Mhm.
not just for
Yeah,
councillors
yeah,
and for stakeholders
Yeah.
in Sussex, West Sussex, but for our public.
yeah.
Because until you see a vision that's
Mhm.
been professionally produced,
Mhm.
you can't really
It's hard.
comment on it.
Yeah, visualise.
So so Graham has already, we've already gone down that road to a greater extent.
Councillor Pond.
Yeah, so a couple of points. I think obviously if we can always get another budget to paper, great. My reservations on that would be, A, is it available, and B, how long would it take? So my view is if we do some feelers out and go like, oh yeah, there's definitely money in the budget, you can apply for it, and we've got a indicative timeline that we have a high degree of confidence, obviously that would lead this committee to probably lean one way. If there's possibly could, but okay, there's quite a few steps to go. I'm thinking, okay, we could be here in a year's time and we're still not going to consider that. So I think my personal view, Chair and committee, would be let's maybe ask about that, find out a bit more about that. But obviously, if there is a level of uncertainty that is feasible in the short time frame or within a reasonable time frame, then I think I'd sort of personally err on one way, which would be to probably fund it ourselves. If there's a degree of confidence that we can probably use that, and I totally agree, if we can use the money for other purposes, all the better. So that'd be point one. Do you want to? I've got
Yeah, so obviously we met with the representatives from Sussex yesterday afternoon, and they did say that if we are going at it from a let's explore the placemaking for potential for East Grinstead, that there was budget available to use to instruct a consultant. But no, I didn't pin them down on how do we get the money and how long will it take. So those are questions we can certainly ask when we have our follow-up meeting on 26th of March to establish that.
Part two.
Well, just to sort of say, really pleased. So thank you, Rex and Graham, for the work today.
And this is the first time we've come formally to report.
Yes.
I'm leading the reporting process. Graham's not that familiar with the council processes, or even though I've explained it, he's becoming a lot more familiar now. But this is the first time we've come to this table to give a progress update, to say, can we please have some money, and can we please crack on to the next steps?
And just to say, so firstly, thank you, and B, I'm really excited to see there's momentum, and I've read the notes, and it's spot on in terms of, I think, what I personally, and I think the committee and others on this town council envisage, which is, it's called a shared services for a reason. And I know we talked about more than it's called shared services, but it's about enhancing the town centre. We call it shared services.
It's not a great game, is it?
It does. Because otherwise, if you make it this enhancing the town centre, it could be all things to all people. I think it does help to slightly narrow it to visualise for people to understand. So I think I firstly really like, and okay, we need to go through due diligence. I like the idea of a one-way system. I think one of the reservations was access. Businesses, as you will know, Graham, like there's some constraints around accessing to certain. I think there's been some comments about having it as a bit of a desert at night at certain times if it was fully pedestrianised, and that would give a certain feel to it. Security and a sort of feel. Do you really want to walk when there's no passing traffic? And then obviously it does open the opportunity of cycle lane. Although I did note that West Sussex Council said that wasn't feasible, but I think was that in relation? One question was that in relation to
the town mayor's very insistent we have a cycle
lane. The reason I raised that is I noticed our chair and mayor is not here, and I feel like an obligation to ask about. So I just, and I'm interested myself. So question: do we know a bit why why they did not believe it was feasible to have a cycle lane if we were going down the one-way route, or was that have I misread?
We haven't gone to that. No.
Okay, sorry. Well, that was prior when previous schemes were talked about. Okay, understood.
Interestingly, if just tell you a little bit of story about that day when we had the walkabout. We stood in front of the station, and a cyclist came down, having been on the Worth Way, and stood there as if we employed him as an actor. He stood there going, route there, where do I go now? And he hadn't a clue where to go. I mean, the Margaret's route would help that. But yeah, I mean, he just wants to know where he goes next. And
You want to go straight
you could see a car park, traffic,
I think we've all felt that,
Yeah.
the kind of, the beaching cuts, not only did it reduce the train, but it sort of went, we're going to cut the two big pedestrian routes in half and make you go through town, which is not neither easy to understand or particularly
So-
enticing.
So, thank you for those comments. If it's a discussion, can I just say,
Yeah, please.
Graham runs his own multidisciplinary consultancy. He deals with consultants. He's done a lot on the car parking issues we've had over the last sort of couple of years. Was instrumental in the petition, etc. Is used to working day in, day out with external consultants. Right, so we've got that kind of expertise sitting right here. Should it come to an appointment of a consultant?
Yeah.
One last point, if I can. I think one of the other, and I understand for those residents in flats in the town centre, but I do hear from constituents a lot of negativity towards the parking, particularly when they can, outside 5 o'clock on the high street. They're basically almost on London High Street and London Road, actually more London Road, actually. And actually, I think that's just a consideration of making it more appealing by disincentivising. I don't think car parking does need to be thought about, because I do understand for those residents, if they're in a flat, they don't have a car parking space, of course they're going to park where they can on the highway. So that was the final point, just to say, I think this does need to consider both catering for and providing car parking space for those, but also of improving the London Road and the High Street by not having vehicles parked.
And that will be a stipulation of West Sussex County Council anyway. So we're cognizant.
And in terms of off-road parking as well, part of the reason we went with the petition with the town council is we wanted to make sure they were alert to the fact that we had to improve parking facilities in the town. Signage, the quality of the parking, paying for what you use, all of that sort of thing. And of course, very quickly they were waving investment documents around and going, yeah, we're on it. Because we knew we weren't going to win the battle on the costs.
But part of that, as part of Graham's work and EGBA, petition, etc., the district council will be implementing an AMPR pilot scheme for a year at the Checkermead car park.
As a result of the pressure.
As a direct result, and potentially there's also a business case which will be published in a couple of months' time for the Queen's Road car park for extending that. So it's a business case, right? As a direct result of the work that Graham and EGBA, particularly through the town council, with that joint petition, and subsequent meetings and discussions with Mid Sussex District Council.
Thank you. Right, and this side of the table, anyone got anything to?
I think it's wonderful.
All right, so as a committee, our decision is, do we proceed with allocating funds and agreeing to £10,000? And I will turn it into a proposal in a minute. Or are we going to ask the committee to wait until we've had the consultation at the end of the month, which is another 20 days away? And the questions that we need asking are the timeframes when they're going to do this, because if they're going to get on it straight away, then we can save money. If we're going to wait an X amount period of time, 6 months, 8 months, then obviously, it's maybe not so where we want to go. But the question is, which way do we want to go? Do we want to wait until the meeting has happened, or we've gained more information, and then make the decision and set something in a timeline tonight? Or do we want to say, no, let's crack along with the consultants? Before I take that to a proposal, that was the discussion I want around the table before I put the proposal in place. So I'm going to go to this side of the room. Councillor Godwin.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's been floating around for a long time. Not much action has been taken. It sounds like with what's been presented, there's a chance for action, there's a chance to get the ball moving. So I think it's probably best to go for it.
Okay, that's not good.
Yes, I mean, I've lived in the town all my life. My father used to talk about it as well, and my grandfather. So, yes, I think it's about time, but I would like to actually see how quickly you could get the money, have that discussion, and obviously if it's not forthcoming
So
immediately.
you're saying then, if you get the money, you're saying wait till after that meeting at the end of the month?
No, I think we need to get on with it.
You can't have both.
I know.
Can't have both. So, you know, you don't have to say now because you go to vote, but you can't have both.
No,
This is
exactly.
we wait to have the meeting, and if they're going to take ages, they give them a timeline of, I don't know, 8 weeks. They're not going to come and do something in 8 weeks, then we say we go with the £10,000. Or we say, actually go with
Yes.
the £10,000. So think about that, before I put the proposal out, you think about that, that's a gift.
It sounds like we're at an actual junction in the road, if you like me, pardon the pun.
Both of which are positive, but one is,
Yeah, and I'm thinking, for the sake of keeping options open, hold off for a little bit, hold off until we know what sort of timeline we might have after the meeting, and then see where we can go from there, because we can always backtrack and think, okay, actually,
well, we can make a decision now and say, if this isn't in place, then we can have a timeline in place, so we can get a decision to move forward, so something to take to achieving.
Yeah, I'm of the view, have the meeting, but if we can agree as a committee now on a timeframe, we'll make it a delegated decision to proceed based on the outcome. So we're not having to wait to the meeting in May to come back to committee, because that was, in my opinion, too far away.
I agree, okay. So I'm going to try and put this into a proposal, all right, because we need to get the time frame. So before I put it into a proposal, so what do we consider? I think the discussion around the table, it's so much healthier. What do we consider a good timeline? So the meeting is at the end of this month. So do we want them to get going within 4 weeks and have something, or 8 weeks? I don't think it's going any longer than 8 weeks. We give the delegated decision back to the office. So what do we consider a time frame? Very well, I've got those two.
Can I ask a question? If we were to go with the option, the £10,000 for consultant, can we get, and I won't hold you to this, a rushed indication of when work to start to finish? Because that will help me and us to figure out what kind of timeframes, extra time, so to speak.
Yeah, for I think, David, if I can just comment, I think we can have both. You said we can't have both. Actually, a conditional commitment on the £10,000. We're not in a position yet to spend it. I've suggested a mechanism for a delegated decision. We've got to get tenders, got to do a specification. We understand all that, which we haven't gone through yet. This is the first start of the process, really. It's, approval for some money. Now we'll go through procedure number 2 for the procurement of that first stage. This is the first stage. We will be working with Mid Sussex and West Sussex anyway, so that meeting will follow on. If we can get additional funding from the district council, happy days. But this is a town council vehicle delivery project, right? West Sussex keeps saying it. Councillor Russell keeps saying that, and she's right. And we want this to be an East Grinstead project. We see so many projects in the district. Burgess Hill, Town Centre Regeneration, Hayward Sea, they get a lot. What do we get in East Grinstead in the north of the district? Not too much. So I think we can actually have it both ways.
I think I'm trying to do a timescale on my proposal.
So the conditional £10,000, we'll come back before we spend a penny for subsequent, figures and commercials and scope of works. And we will have already taken on board. So in parallel, work with the officers, Mid Sussex, West Sussex.
So a commitment to £10,000 spend, which will commitment to a consultancy to do the work, of which we as a town council will pay for that if funding from another source is not obtained within sufficient time, something like that. Does that?
Yeah, no, you can absolutely make that resolution that you will commit to, if within X period of time, we cannot reach agreement to use the funding from Mid Sussex, that we then proceed with the funding from our budget. That's absolutely fine. What I would say is, do you want to do a lot of work in preparing a scope for tender in the interim 2-3 weeks we've got before this next meeting, if we may need to change it slightly in order to get their funding?
Yeah.
So I think we're not talking about a very long to wait for the next meeting. And at that point, after that meeting, it should be quite clear whether we can proceed kind of that way.
I'm very impressed with the enthusiasm and commitment to this group. But in reality, what's another month?
Yeah.
We can have that discussion.
Yeah.
I think they'll want a commitment from us
Yes.
here before they put a commitment in.
Mhm.
That's what I'm sensing.
Exactly.
Look, it's 43 years since the first proposal. I think
What's
if it's
another
it's a few more months. I don't think it matters. But once we start, we go quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I propose that we agree in principle to the £10,000 following the meeting with Mid Suffolk District Council and the end of that, and see how they dovetail together. And then it goes back to a delegated decision at the end of it, so that that money can be released.
If we need to.
If we need to. I would like to propose that. Can I have a second?
Second that, Chair.
Excuse me, Chair, would that be a delegated decision from the chair of this committee and the vice chair and the clerk,
Yeah, it would have to be with the officers,
or the
yeah.
leader and the clerk?
Whatever
It
the,
usually goes to the leader and the clerk.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's fine, so.
That's you.
So just for clarity,
Yeah.
for great
Right,
education and public, you
Yes,
know, and
delegated
and
decision
the
goes
public
to
record.
the chief
Yeah.
officer and
So
the leader.
that's a good safety valve, I think.
So,
Of which both are here.
Steve's going to come back and see what happened.
Please, can we take a vote? I propose that we've had a second, please move forward to vote on that, please. Yeah, thank you.
And obviously the finance and government
FGP is coming up.
is a week after, it's the 27th of March, so
I think the meeting is the 26th, isn't it?
yeah, it's a day after.
The day off. So then we
we have
hopefully be an
questions.
update for at the
Yeah.
FGP meeting,
Yeah.
of which
Yeah.
you'll be there anyway. No, you won't. You wouldn't. Is it?
I'll be there from you do, just in case.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the discussion on the table. I very much appreciate it. If you'd like to leave, please do now.
Thank you.
And Councillor Which could be back to go, you may go as well.
Yeah, I've got a list coming at 8 o'clock. All right, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, moving on then to item 7. The bike hire and scheme and cycle parking. There is no, it's all in the minutes. There is no further update at the moment. The officers have been continuing to try and engage with stakeholders to find suitable sites, of which there's some, the Queen Vic, nobody's coming back to them at the moment. They are in a bit of a change of things, I think, at the Queen Vic with their leadership of management. East Grinstead Sports Club, I think they're quite positive, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're looking to engage. Bluebell Railway, nothing coming back from them, and the Community Railway Development Officer has been approached to find out if they have any information for people who are travelling to and from the station. So there's some work still going on in the background. A little bit further forward with the sports club, and any questions? Yeah.
I'll just ask questions. I could.
Please.
My only thing would, we've got the station agreed to this.
Yeah.
I know they said, yes, we'd love to have more. My big concern is we take too long identifying a third and fourth site, management changes, outlook changes, all of a sudden, the most important site, the station suddenly has a change of heart, being that it's taken this long to get to this point. My proposal would be, because it reads, as the notes read, and I'll wait back, it reads like, oh, we're not going to actually start now until we've got more sites. I really would like to lock in these 2 sites before people change, decisions get undone, would be a comment. I don't know if there's,
I thought they knocked it down. They.
well, but are we proceeding with just those 2 sites?
They have said we can have the site in writing, but obviously there are no cycle racks on the site at the moment.
But we
That
said
would
we.
be an investment, I think, of 500.
We said, but I'm sure we agreed at the last committee meeting to put that investment in and get that site in and get it locked in.
It
I'm
was
sure that was agreed.
a meeting with the bike hire company. It was felt that perhaps not adequate in respect of getting the scene up and running. I would prefer to see it up and running with 2 sites, with physical bikes there. That read like, oh, do you know what? We need to have a third and fourth before we actually get the scheme up and running. That could take 6 months. I've been on this committee now 2 years. You know, it's taken us this long just to get this point.
Yeah.
It could be another 2 years, by which time things change. Management change, decisions get undone. We may have had a letter, oh, I'm very sorry, we've changed our mind. I understand more sites would be preferable, wouldn't they be great? but the most important one is the
It's the
station. If we lose that, the whole scheme falls apart.
I concur.
And also, if you've got one working, surely that might think, oh, I'd like one of those there. And it might bring more people out that would actually give us more sites. Right?
The risk of doing something, I think, or not doing something is greater than the risk of doing nothing. Well, you know which way.
Yeah.
I'm going, yes, okay, it may not work, and we've got 2 sites, but actually we've got the 2 most important sites, and if it doesn't work with those, then we were never going to have a successful scheme anyway.
Yeah,
That's
there is
fine.
an element of that proving the concept, absolutely.
But there is quite an investment.
There is.
With the actual bikes. Started,
There is.
Which is, I think, why we have these discussions with the company that provide them, that having a sort of network where they all gel together might work better than starting off with one site and it doesn't work at all. You put all that investment in and it's a failure.
So, okay,
And I think.
so why can't the third site go on Howland? Why can't it go here?
I think that was one of the things, and that's within our purview to do afterwards. My view is don't get great, stand in the way of good. Like, yes, it'd be great to have 3 or 4 sites, but it'd probably be good enough to begin with having the 2 key sites, which is East Grinstead.
And if they want
And then we can have the third on our site afterwards. Again, we could aim to wait and look for other sites, and I'm just worried we're going to lose that East station. But it's a risk, and I think we just need to, as a committee, accept the fact that if we are proceeding with only 2, it may not have the same impetus as having more. But if we wait, there's downside risk. Oh, no,
Yeah, thank you.
It's good pay very much, thank you. Anyone else have anything on that? No? Okay, so item 8 is Young Green Britain Challenge, to consider the council's involvement with the project. Now, I had this flagged to actually reply to myself, so apologies on behalf of all town councillors that have not responded. The mayor hello. No feedback or offers from councillors to attend the event. Officers can attend on behalf of the council on the 25th of March. I can't take them to work when reply. The mayor to attend the Dragon's Den event, if available, waiting a confirmation of this date, and agree for officers to attend if no councillors are available. So we're hoping to have some representation, so that's just a piece of information for you.
So we felt basically that it sounds like a really good initiative, and it would be good for East Grinstead Town Council to be supporting it and involved in it. So obviously, if no council law representation is possible, then officers could take that role instead.
So can I suggest that we put that out again, and just that it be discussed at the meeting this evening, and send it out again to councillors who wish to attend. And do we delegate, we agree to delegate that if nobody goes, that the officer can attend enough later? I'd like to propose that.
The 25th of Monday.
Tuesday, I just checked.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the day of the annual town meeting.
Busy day.
What
Yeah.
exactly does the day involve?
I think I sent all the details.
You
out.
did,
you did. Yeah, I think I responded.
Yeah, you said that you would, and then you said.
Yeah, because I wasn't quite sure what it was all made of.
So we agree that, so we had a first nomination. So we both agree that we can move it to officers if we need to. Thank you. Right, item 9, Bee Friendly Town. To receive an update on our application. So let me see. So a decision really to agree expenditure in the budget £200, and to inform the committee that an application will be submitted in April 2025. So I need the committee to agree that we will spend £200 on our application to be a bee friendly town. I'd like to propose that. May I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Pond. Anyone like to add any discussion?
I would
Thank
say
you.
we are already a bee
Yes,
friendly
we
town.
pretty much are, yes.
We've got, I've got 3 community gardens, which are all nectar, full. I plant fruit trees everywhere I can, which are good for bees. So I think we're already halfway there.
Yeah.
so. But I would like it if we could sort of liaise with East Grinstead in Bloom as well, so that we can point out where we're bee friendly with our gardens.
And that will go in, I suppose, get the application in there.
Yeah.
See if we get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we move to vote to spend £200 for it to go forward to energy equipment? Thank you very much. Thank you. And right, so moving on to the last item on the agenda is the business plan update. To receive update regarding items for inclusion at East Grinstead Town Council business plan. Decision to discuss and agree priorities for the business plan. So they are to explore urban tree planting and rewilding projects throughout the town, to consider the potential of shared spaces within the community centre. I think we've done that today. To encourage and support further conservation and recycling initiatives. To investigate potential enhancement of Turners Hill Recreation Ground as a more usable community space. To explore additional cycle storage and hire facilities within the town, which we still is ongoing, and to investigate improvements to the local cycling and walking infrastructure, the LC WIP, and promote active travel. Well, that is ongoing. So we're really to agree our priorities. So we've already got the storage, the LC WIP is already ongoing. The coming up discussion is the explore the urban tree planting and rewilding projects throughout the town. Do we have an update on that?
No, I don't think anything's happening with that at the moment, no. So it's just.
But it's something the committee is still happy to move forward with.
Absolutely.
Consider the potential shared space we've done. The conservation and recycling initiatives. We've not moved forward with that, but I think Mid Sussex District Council have had some trials with food.
Yeah, that's being rolled out by the end of this year. It should be rolled out here.
Yeah, so that'll be moving forward. So that's something then as a committee will be sharing and publicising through Mid Sussex District Council, obviously through our town council information. And then obviously Turners Hill Recreation Ground. That has 106 money allocation. Do an upgrade, does it not? No.
We're not one of the last time. There's lots of other section 106 money for other playgrounds that possibly could be
Which are not ours.
true.
So therefore
that's-
the expenditure does not sit with us.
It's interesting, that isn't it?
Mhm.
Anyway.
So I think that is a piece of work that perhaps needs to come to the committee moving forward and what we want to do with that. And but we want it to remain on our business plan. Yeah, okay. All right, and would anyone have anything to say on the business plan?
Just.
Yes, Tom, please, yeah.
Chair, Smart Loop, is that within the local cycling and walking infrastructure? LC WIP and promoting active town travel, or is that? Just,
Within A&T.
yeah,
I
I know there was some discussion on
think it will
that.
start moving forward. I look forward to sharing some ideas with you in the future.
No, that's fine. I know there was a discussion around that and I just couldn't remember where we
Yeah,
landed
it's
on
still
that.
there at the moment, but
So-
if we get the go ahead, I think it needs to sit within the LC WIP.
Well, it's all about environmental and sustainable travel,
Mhm.
that'd just be me.
Councillor Watford and then
I
Councillor.
would like to see that Loudwell's Lane was put into that LC WIP, because it has actually been officially agreed that it belongs to West Sussex. West Sussex did meet with Julie Holden and myself and thought it was a wonderful area to investigate, but it's all gone quiet.
Okay.
So we better poke that wasp's nest again.
Okay. Thank you.
Not the
Councillor.
bees.
No.
It's not really for this part of the agenda, but I might have missed it. What was the last that happened with it might be one for the actual chair, but the Southern Sheeting people dealings that we had, because
Yeah,
I haven't heard that for a little while.
no, we haven't engaged with them. That is a very valid point, actually.
Because they were quite sort of positive when
I think it's something we need to engage with, and actually very much part of the business
Yeah.
plan. Perhaps I'll meet with Councillor Odie and move forward with that and re-engage with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I just ask a
Yes,
question? So where we've got to explore urban tree planting and rewilding projects throughout the town, do we have any particular spaces in mind where we will be doing this?
I haven't, because I've got one area which belongs to West Sussex another area which belongs to Clarion. I find that when we ask and then they allow us. So that's how I go about getting these places. And one that belongs to Mid Sussex. But I'm sure there must be some green spaces in the town.
I'm wondering if you could have a competition and involve schools and things, if they've got any space. I mean, I'm looking to do a rewilding area on my field, it's just too wet to do anything at the moment. But whether you can do a competition within schools, say, you know, do some rewilding. I know Felbridge have already done that on their greens. Any green spaces that we've got. I can't think of them, but the bottom, for example, before they did the bottom of Black Hollow, that's what they're building, but that would be a lovely area to
Yes.
rewilding. And areas like that that are on, roundabouts are not good ones because they're dangerous, you can't be around them, but that sort of grass spaces, there must be some around that we could.
There is a little area in Copyhold.
Okay.
Because Jonathan Ansley, who lives in Copyhold, when he was going to do a little community area for the people that live there. But that didn't come to any.
So if you have something and we advertise what we're doing, and to create those rewilding areas, it's very interesting. And it will help with our bee project.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you had any involvement, and I can't exactly remember it, with the kind of the corridors? Like,
We used to, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Something we really ought to be investigating a bit more, actually.
If we used to, do we know where they were and could we go back to that sort of, those sorts of
I will
places?
look through my notes.
Okay, that might be a good place to start.
No, find out the council on the business plan.
Just on that, we did discuss Queen's Road Cemetery and what was happening long term for
So
that.
that is going to be becoming part of public services, and that's something
Okay.
that is on, so that element is still going to
Okay. When
be
that,
discussed on that.
once that has been discussed, that could be a potential.
Yes, yeah, definitely, absolutely.
That's been discussed with the town clerk,
Okay,
yeah, so there's something,
It's on the A&T, isn't it?
yeah.
depending on the
Right.
outcome of that committee, we could potentially,
Yeah.
And the badges.
and the batches.
All of, yeah. So there's an idea.
We're leaving them, Bina.
Yeah, fine.
Saying that Thames Hill Rec, if it wanted us combined, like if there is as part of the redevelopment, that could be areas that we want to do, because it is just a lot of grass to the bottom, which is the forest, which I don't think is part. After a while, it becomes property.
I'm not sure what boundaries are. Certainly, you could look to put a community orchard on there.
Yeah.
There is that area on the Turners Hill Road, isn't there? Just before where Fonthill Lodge was. There is an area there which we own.
That's it, that's
Which is
Thames Hill
green.
Rec,
That is it?
that is.
Ah, right, yes, perfect place for an orchard.
Yeah, community orchard / skate park / burial ground.
Yeah.
Tick all those boxes.
That would be an interesting
Look like a
one.
lovely idea.
Okay, so thank you all, this evening. I call this meeting to an end, so the time of this meeting is 8:12. Thank you. The next meeting will be held on Tuesday, the 20th of May at 7 p.m.